So we'll get started. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Damine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Hare Krishna everyone. So I welcome you all for the daily reading session. So those who are interested to read, please raise your hand and then we can get started. Okay. Yeah. Pankaj Lakshmi Mataji, you can start. I think we need to start from this section.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
From where do we start, Prabhuji?
Yeah, from giving credit to the primal creator.
Yeah, giving credit to the primary creator, Dr. Wolf Rothke. In all humanity, Srila Prabhupada supposed the scientist actually succeed in artificially created a living cell. What would you say? Srila Prabhupada, what would be their credit? They would only be imitating what already exists in nature. People are very fond of imitations. If a man in a nightclub imitates a dog, people will go and pay money to watch him. But when they see a real dog barking, they don't pay any attention to it. Dr. Singh, Srila Prabhupada, the idea of chemical evolution came from a Russian biologist in 1920. He demonstrated that before biochemical evolution, the Earth's atmosphere was in a state of reduction. In other words, it was mostly full of hydrogen with very little oxygen. Then, in due course, the sun's radiation caused these hydrogen molecules to form into different chemicals. Srila Prabhupada, this is a side study. First of all, where did the hydrogen come from? The scientists simply study the middle of the process. They do not study the origin. We must know the beginning. There is an aeroplane, indicates an aeroplane appearing on the horizon. Would you say the origin of that machine is the sea? A foolish person might say that all of a sudden a light appeared in the sky, in the sea, and that's how the aeroplane was created. But is that a scientific explanation? The scientists' explanations are similar. They say this existed and then all of a sudden, by chance, that occurred. This is not science. Science means to explain the original cause. Perhaps the scientists can create imitations of nature, but why would we give them credit? We should give credit to the original creator, God. That is our philosophy. Dr. Singh, when a scientist discovers some natural law, he usually names it after himself. Srila Prabhupada. Yes, exactly. The law is already there in nature, but the rascal wants to take credit for it.
Thank you, yeah, we'll stop here. Yeah, so basically Prabhupada is mentioning, so give credit to the primal creator. So there are many things which here there is a discussion going on. So one of the things which is more relatable is, so Prabhupada is telling, so if a man in a nightclub imitates a dog, people will go and pay the money to watch. So, but if the real dog is barking, so we don't pay attention to it. So we are more interested in the name of scientific advancement. Anything that we give or that we show, people are willing to pay even more and then feel thrilled. But when nature is giving so much of things, so we don't really give attention to it. We're not even aware of such things that, okay, this is how nature is actually functioning. And then Dr. Singh is further saying, so it's because of some biological evolution. So how initially only few elements were there and a lot of hydrogen was there and very little oxygen was there. And because of some chemical reaction and radiation, so everything is actually formed. But Prabhupada is actually mentioning, so this should not be starting from the middle process. So where Prabhupada is also giving an example, so he was referring to the flight there, and all of a sudden if they see some red light and then from the red light if the flight is appearing, that is nonsense. So they should really come to the root. So what is the source of all the creation, so how this has happened, and we should not start studying from the middle of something. So that's what Prabhupada is mentioning. So this is not science. So all of a sudden nothing can happen by chance, but then science means to actually explain or go to the root cause, the original cause. So that is what is actually science. But unfortunately, so most of the times we only come from the middle. And sometimes we also see this pattern in our own lives. So when we see something, we just see something in between and we start judging people also. So this is not good. And so what scientists are doing, so they're only discovering, they're not creating anything great. So they see, they observe how nature is functioning and then they get the credit. That's what Dr. Singh is also telling. So they discover something from the nature's law and there is a name attached to that because someone has discovered it. And Prabhupada is saying this is not good. This is actually what they're behaving like rascals, and they're taking credit for something which nature is functioning under the direction of the Lord. Yeah, Krishna Priya Mataji, would you like to continue, please?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Krishna
Yes,
Priya Radhika Mataji, are you there?
yes. Hare Krishna, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Gerontology prolonging the suffering. Dr. Singh, they are actually fighting against the law of nature, but often they take pleasure in the struggle. Srila Prabhupada. That pleasure is childish. Suppose a child build a sand castle on the beach with great effort. He may take pleasure in it, but that is childish pleasure. That is not a grown man's pleasure. Materialistic men have created a standard of false happiness. They have created a gorgeous arrangement for a comfortable civilization, but it is all false because they cannot create a situation in which they will be able to enjoy it. At any moment, anyone can be kicked out by death and all the his enjoyment will be finished. Dr. Singh, that is why they say that God has not given us everything because we are not able to live here forever. Srila Prabhupada. But God has given them everything necessary to live peacefully and everything necessary to understand Him. So, why will they not inquire about God? Instead, they do things that help them forget God. Dr. Singh. Now, the scientists have organized a whole department in science called gerontology, in which they study how to prolong life. Srila Prabhupada. Their real aim should be to stop the suffering. Suppose an old man is in great pain, suffering from many diseases, and suddenly the doctor increased his lifespan. What is the profit? Dr. Singh. That is what they do in with heart transplants. Srila Prabhupada. It is nonsense. Let them stop death. That would be an achievement. Let them stop all disease. That would be an achievement. They cannot do these things. Therefore, I say that all their research is simply a struggle for existence. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Guruji slow.
Mamai Vamso Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatanaha Manasastani Indriyani Prakristani Karshati.
The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditional life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Yeah, we'll
Student.
discuss still here. Yeah, so here it's the discussion is going on about the gerontology. So where they're trying to study more about the old age. So Prabhupada is calling this as a childish pleasure. So because yeah, so what is that they're solving? So all the materialistic men. So what we are looking in the current world today, it's all about the sense gratification. It's a false happiness. It's not giving us the real happiness. So all the civilization that we're seeing, so it's only talking about how to improve our sleeping, eating, mating, and defending. So they're not really talking about the real enjoyment. And whatever enjoyment, whatever the facilities that we're creating in this world, so it could be property, it could be positions, it could be people or relationships, so or followers. So everything is taken away or kicked out at the time of death. So this is done. All this enjoyment is gone in a spur of a moment at the time of death. So, and when Dr. Singh is mentioning, so this way they complain that God is not able to give us happy place to live forever. So Prabhupada is mentioning, no, God is giving us everything for us to live peacefully and necessary things to understand Him. So in fact, so Lord has given. So this is Dukkha life we all already know. So, but why it is so perfect? Because God has given us a perfect human life to understand why we are suffering, and then go out to the eternal place where we can find eternal happiness. So that is a perfect arrangement. So unfortunately, people are not inquiring about God. So they're just trying to focus on things and trying to focus on enjoyment, which is helping them to only forget God and just get stuck in the temporary happiness and miseries. So coming to gerontology, so what is the point of prolonging life? So yeah, we might have something, but still people are suffering. So the suffering is actually prolonged than actual, I mean, happy life with all these diseases. So their lifespan is increasing, but it's not helping. So the old body, the aged body is not going to cooperate like it was cooperating in the young days or younger age. So, so the real problem that we need to solve is how we can stop all the diseases. So that's what Prabhupada is telling. That would be an achievement. So otherwise, these are all just a childish plans. And so all their research is simply struggle for existence. So in fact, we also see when someone is admitted to a hospital with some terminal illness, even though that person would be struggling with the body, he still wanted to live. So he's not realizing that there is so much of suffering. So that is the ignorance of this world. So we're not inquiring how to get the permanent relief from all this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. So Prabhupada is further quoting the shloka where so we are all eternally fragments of the fragmental parts of the Lord, but why we are struggling? Because of our conditioned state in this world, and because of our conditioned state, we're struggling with manas sashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. So we're struggling with the six senses, which includes the mind, the five gyanendriyas and the mind. So this is the situation of us. So because of the conditioned state, and how we can get out of this conditioned state by inquiring about God and then aligning with the instructions of the Lord. So that should be our focus, and we should spend time on that aspect. Haigree Prabhu, would you like to continue, please?
Yes, Professor. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna. Dhanavad Pranam.
Student, now there is a shortage of oil. Srila Prabhupada, yes, we have built a civilization that is dependent on oil. This is against nature's law, and therefore there is now there is now an oil shortage. By nature's law, winter is now coming. Scientists cannot stop it and turn it into summer. They wrongly think they are in control of nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna informs us that the living being thinks himself to be the doer of activities, and that are in actuality carried out by nature. The sun is now rising. Can they make it dark? And when it is dark, can they command the sun, get up? They do not realize that if they really want to conquer nature, they should try to conquer birth, death, old age, and disease. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Krishna says, Daivi heshi gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam yeva ye prapatyante mayam yetam taranti te. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Dr. Singh. So it is very hard to overcome nature's law. Srila Prabhupada. For the materialistic, it is impossible. But if one surrender to Krishna, it becomes easy.
We'll discuss till here, Prabhu. So yeah, so here basically on the continuation, because we're talking about the gerontology to postpone or prolong the old age. So Prabhupada is trying to give the explanation how we are not in control. Actually, it is nature which is in control. So we unfortunately think we are in the control of nature. So everyone wants to control in this world, right? But unfortunately, we cannot. We don't have control. We can't even control our anger or hunger. How can we control the nature? So Prabhupada is quoting this shloka from third chapter, Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvasha Ahankara Vimudatma Kartaha Miti Manyate. So the person who is completely engrossed in false ego, so that person thinks I am the doer. But in actuality, what is happening? So Gunai Karmani Sarvasha. So the material nature, everything is carried out by material nature. So if you are getting anger because we are controlled by Tamoguna, so we are exhibiting anger. So it is not that it's up to us. And we can't control anger also because we are completely captivated with the Tamoguna. So Prabhupada is giving very nice examples. So if sun is rising, We cannot say, sun, please get down, so make it dark. No, we cannot make it dark. The moment sun is out, yeah, sun is out. We don't have any control. At the same time, when it is dark, we cannot command the sun, come out. So I want light. So we can never do that. So we're completely under control. So we don't have a real control on anything. So Prabhupada is also giving the instruction how we can control and conquer the nature when we conquer or stop the cycle of birth and death. So that is how it's important. So Prabhupada is quoting Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mamamaya Duratya. So my Maya, my energy, which is Maya Sakti, it is very difficult. Mamamaya Duratya. But how is it easy to surpass? Mam Yevaya Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. The moment you surrender unto me, it is very easy to cross this ocean of samsara. So that is how we can conquer this nature. Otherwise, whatever things we do, like Prabhupada is calling it, it's just a childish plan. We cannot control anything. So that is the conclusion. So for materialists, it is impossible because they are completely under the control of Maya, external energy of the Lord. But when we surrender to Krishna, so we are surrendering to the boss of Maya. So now we can easily surpass because we come under the control of Krishna's internal energy, Srimati Radharani. Sindhu Mataji, would you like to continue, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam.
Pranam.
This one, the real origin of species. Very good, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The real origin of species, Dr. Singh explained why there are so many varieties of living entities. The scientists say that at a certain time during evolution, the cells, genes, which normally reproduce themselves perfectly for the next generation, sometimes make a mistake in copying, something like the printing press that sometimes makes mistakes. In some circumstances, these mistakes or mutations have stood and different species of living entities have been formed because of the difference in the genes. Srila Prabhupada, but that mistake has been continuing since time immemorial, for you will find that all varieties of living entities have always existed. Therefore, the mistake is eternal. But when a mistake is permanent, it is not a mistake, it is intelligence. Dr. Singh, but scientists say that if there were no mutations, then there would be only one kind of living entity in the whole universe. Srila Prabhupada, no, every living entity has a different mind, and therefore there are so many different species of life to accommodate the different mentalities. For example, we are walking here, but most people are not coming to join us because they have different mentalities than we do. Why does this difference exist? Dr. Singh, maybe it is a mistake, Srila Prabhupada. It is not a mistake, it is their desire. And at the time of death, everyone will get a body exactly according to his desire. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 8.6, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitah. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. What you're thinking of at the time of death exactly determines your next body. Nature will give you the body. The decision is not in your hands, but in nature's. And she is working under the direction of Dr. Singh. But science seems to have evidence that different species of life do arise by mistakes. Srila Prabhupada, that is their mistake. In the laws of nature, there are no mistakes. In railway cars, there are first class, second class, and third class sections. If you purchase a third class ticket, but by mistake go to the first class section, you will not be allowed to stay there. It is not a mistake that there are sections. That is the arrangement. But it is your mistake that you have gone to the wrong section. So God is so thorough that he knows all the mistakes that will be made. Therefore, according to the mistakes you commit, you enter a particular body. Here, come here. The body is ready. There are 84 lakh species of life, and nature works assigning different bodies with mathematical precision. When the government builds a city, it builds a prison even before the city is completed, because the government knows that there will be many criminals who will have to go to prison. This is not the government's mistake. It is the mistake of the criminals. Because they become criminals, they have to go there. It is their mistake. In nature, there are no mistakes. Krishna says, Ayadakshena prakriti suyate saracharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and producing all moving and non-moving beings. Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Nature works under the supervision of God, Krishna. So how can nature make mistakes? But we commit mistakes. We are illusioned. Our senses are imperfect and we cheat. That is the difference between God and man. God does not have imperfect senses. His senses are perfect. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So So here, yeah, we're talking about the real origin of species. So it is not just by mistake something is happening. So Dr. Singh is talking about how the mutation of cells are happening because of some mistake and new things, new origin of species is formed. But that is not a mistake. So Prabhupada is mentioning, so if it is a mistake, if the mistake is permanent, it is not a mistake, it is intelligence. Because yeah, it is ultimately created by the Lord. Obviously, Lord cannot do mistakes. And Prabhupada is also mentioning it is not happening by any mistake. It is because so people have sorry, different species have different mentalities. So in order to accommodate all the mentalities, different species are created. So Prabhupada is also referring so how people have different mentalities. Oh, not everyone was coming for this morning walk. Now also in our WhatsApp group there are almost so many around 400 people I think, but hardly we see 70 to 80 people join because yeah either they have different mentalities or the mentality is changing or priorities are changing. So in that way, so it is not a mistake because people have their tendencies and according to the tendencies they behave. And Prabhupada is quoting Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam Jayatinte Kalevaram Tam Tam Yevaiti Kaunteya Sada Tadbhava Bhavitaha. So based on our bhav, so we are actually going to take different kinds of body. It's a very wonderful point which we have to reflect upon. So, so what we can remember at the time of death, that's what we'll attain. But how, what decides what we are going to, remember at the time of death is what we are practicing in this life. So, according to our nature, so the body, the nature has already created 84 lakh species. So, and then the moment at the time of leaving our body, if whatever the nature that we have acquired, so Krishna is telling, hey, here is your body, take this body. If you are cultivating to sleep the whole life more and more, Krishna is arranging polar bear body. So if you're eating anything and everything, yeah, there's a big body. So in this way, so based on our nature, so everything is actually arranged. The 84 lakh varieties of dresses to enjoy different kinds of desires based on our nature is actually arranged. And why it is perfect? Because yeah, it is and it is done under supervision of the Lord. So Prabhupada is also giving this example. So when government is building a prison house, it is not by mistake because government already knows there'll be people who will break the law, and that's why the prison house is already foreseen. In the same way, Lord already knows with mathematical precision, like Prabhupada says, and that is how Lord has already created 84 lakh species perfectly, knowing that what we'll be desiring, what mistakes that we'll do, and what kind of body is needed for all these jivas. And God is not imperfect. He has a perfect senses, and he can never make mistake. So the nature is working perfectly under the supervision of the Lord. So it's already time up, so we'll have to stop here. So yeah, since we are talking about Yam Yam Vapis Maran Bhavam, so let us contemplate. So what is all that we are doing, which might take us away from Krishna? Because yeah, we might take that kind of body. So and yeah, let us list down all the things within our routine in our day-to-day life, which is taking away from Krishna. And so how do you feel about it after hearing this? Are you scared? And yeah, so share your thoughts. So thank you so much. We'll stop here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo Antakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Dandavat pranam.
Prabhuji.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Dandavat pranam.